Hello, namaskar, and welcome to the CAA show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. When I look at the persona of the man who today is aspiring to be the leader of opposition, that is Rahul Gandhi, my head actually goes in a spin. I am seeing a man who is projecting himself as the political Amitabh Bachchan of the country. Not a young Amitabh Bachchan, but certainly a middle-aged Amitabh Bachchan of the country, that is a middle-aged, angry young man. He's angry all the time. He is forcefully, of course, making his point. And my mind goes back to a time so many years back when the same man made that famous or infamous speech about Kalavati in the Lok Sabha, which earned him the sobriquet after that of Pappu. This is the same man who has come a long way. This is a new side to him, a new persona, a new makeover, or a new changeover, whatever you want to call it. This man today appears in a very aggressive manner on television screens and on social media. And the question which I am asking in this podcast is that why has this makeover been done? How it is being done? What is the end goal of this makeover? And the big question, is it fake or is it real? We're going to answer all that question, but first we must, because every such event, it is backed by another event in the back. And this story has come in the forefront now because of something which happened yesterday when Rahul Gandhi was doing this press conference, allegedly accusing the government of a scam regarding the exit polls. You must have all seen that story. But that story was overtook by what he said to the Aaj Tak reporter, that is Mausami Singh, where I thought in a very uncouth, in a very rude manner, he told Mausami Singh, who asked him actually a very interesting question, that if you call for a JPC to probe the BJP on whether they have rigged the exit polls to make money, that was the accusation, and if you call the JPC, then who's going to pay for that, and what will be the modus operandi of that JPC? It was a legitimate, normal question, and he replied in a very aggressive, uncouth manner, where he actually suggested that Mausami Singh should wear a T-shirt of the logo of the Congress party. What was he suggesting in that? I thought it was a very offensive remark, especially to a lady and a female reporter. But that is not the first time he has done that. If you remember, only some time back, he had made all those remarks about Aishwarya Rai. He has been going hammer and tongs very aggressively, and defamation cases have been filed against him, and nothing has happened in the Supreme Court. The matter has gone up to the Supreme Court, where he has been forgiven. He is continuing on. And therefore, the question we are asking is that, is it all part of a plan? Is it all part of a design to get something? And I'm going to talk about that in this particular podcast. The fact is that, and let me say this, I'm convinced about this, that I think it is definitely part of a plan where Rahul Gandhi is trying to attract youthful audiences to his side. And let me give him credit because to some extent this plan of his actually has worked, especially in the state of Uttar Pradesh. If you notice that for quite some time, Rahul Gandhi, let me first talk of the persona. He has been wearing this white T-shirt, something like which I am wearing today. And he has been showing off his muscles, or whatever you want to call it, that T-shirt with muscles and everything. He walks about in a particular manner. Whenever somebody asks him a question, especially when reporters ask him a question, he replies back very aggressively. He almost questioned that, are you from the BJP side? Is this a question of the BJP orientation? He's questioning everything. He's replying back very aggressively. And he has started speaking in this hoarse, brash, loud manner. And I was wondering, why is he doing all that till the penny dropped? And again, not to cast aspersions on anyone or any community or any group of people, but the fact is, and suddenly it hit me that he was doing all this because he very smartly, or some people certainly who are backing him have very smartly figured out that today a large section of youngsters, they take their information from social media, from YouTube. Youngsters actually don't even watch news channels any longer. It's all older people like me, geriatric people who are watching news channels, but the youngsters are all watching YouTube. And this kind of brashness, maybe in the short term, actually appeals to younger audiences, especially in urban, semi-urban areas, in the rural heartland. They like this, they cheer this. Because what is he projecting in this? Rahul Gandhi is projecting this angry young man, an action man, wearing this white t-shirt, muscles rippling. You can see that, of course, he goes to the gym and all that. That's obviously very clear. He's projecting a very macho image, as it were. And unfortunately, in this projection of this macho image, women are always at the receiving end, as we have seen, especially in two instances. And in this projection, he is making promises, literally a promise a day. He's making promises which I have talked about in another podcast. If you watch that podcast of mine on the CAA show, he's making literally a promise a day, some promises which I call them political Ponzi promises, political Ponzi schemes, which are, to my mind, completely fraudulent. They cannot be implemented. For instance, that 8,500 rupees per month scheme to be given to women in a family, or the Mahalakshmi scheme, as they call it, or the 1 lakh rupees scheme per every year. The government, or for that matter, India, does not have the capacity to pay this kind of money. So he's making those kind of promises, and these promises are coming every day as part of this aggressive makeover. But the other thing which he is doing in this aggressive projection of his is that he is going after the BJP, especially. He's going after the Prime Minister Modi practically on a daily basis, an all-out attack. And maybe in the short term, at least, as I said, it is appealing to younger audiences in places like Uttar Pradesh. Maharashtra, of course, I think had different issues, but in UP, certainly, this probably has gone home. I would argue that this kind of projection, and he's not the first person to have tried it. There have been other leaders, not only in India, but abroad also, who have come in with this completely aggressive package, as it were, and they have unleashed that package to the public. It works in the short run, but it obviously never ever works in the long run. People want stability, they want wisdom, they want calmness when it comes to governance. The problem is that all these promises, all this aggro, all this machoism, all this uncouthness is not backed by anything sensible on the ground. It is basically a media projection. That part should be clear to us. But we have to talk a little bit about the other part also. What has been the BJP's response to it? And in that respect, I feel the BJP's response to this aggressive unleashing, as it were, has been very, very mediocre, poor at its best. And to that extent, when some people say that the BJP IT self needs to pull up its socks, it needs to do something about it, I completely agree. It has not matched aggression with aggression. And how do you match aggression with aggression? No doubt there are a lot of podcasters, there are a lot of people on social media who back the BJP. But if you look closely, this entire spectrum of so-called right-wing people or people who back this government, none of them can match, for instance, the charisma, I would say, of somebody like a Dhruv Rathi who backs, of course, Rahul Gandhi, or the younger lot, which means that very older geriatric people are upholding the flag for the BJP. And this, I think, is a failing of the BJP IT cell, where younger people, more aggressive people, people who are convinced by what the government is doing are not matching fire with fire. They are not meeting this aggression unleashed by Rahul Gandhi. And we all know where this is heading to. The fact is, these promises, of course, cannot be met. But in the short term, such an approach does pay dividends, as we have seen what happened in these elections, especially the case study of UP. There could be hundreds of other reasons why the BJP lost so many seats in UP. But to my mind, this is also an important reason that the youngsters actually liked this kind of aggressive push of Rahul Gandhi. This has to be taken note of. This has to be taken into cognizance by the BJP. These kind of things, of course, run out their course. They cannot last forever. But in the short term, they definitely cause immense damage. And it's not like this is going to wind up the next day. This is going to continue maybe for the next 5 years for the BJP. So they need to come up with an idea. They need to come up with a strategy. They need to come up with more youthful faces who will counter Rahul Gandhi. He's also not getting any younger. One has to keep that in mind. But certainly, this aggression has to be matched with aggression. Otherwise, in the short term at least, such a communication strategy, such a communication pushback is going to yield results, has yielded results, and therefore the BJP needs to take note of this. And therefore, just to conclude, certainly this might be a political Ponzi projection. It could be. But the fact is, there is certainly a plan behind this projection of Rahul Gandhi. And also let's admit to ourselves, short term it is yielding results. And therefore, let's see if the BJP can match this fire with fire from their own end. And so on this note, I come to the end of this podcast. Hope you really liked it. You do like our show, do subscribe to us. Subscription is, of course, free. Just press on that red button on your screen. And one thing I promise you, we bring you all the hot button issues of the day. And those issues I deal with, there's always a twist in my podcast, something different from the other podcasts. So do subscribe to us and you get the benefit of the CAA show. Goodbye and cheers from my end.